think outside the box, if you will. I mean, go there, go off campus. Let's think this through. And sure enough, that's where the Mustang was born. When it finally hit, it took the country by storm.
Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor, and this is the Motor City. And this is the show that, unlike any other, brings cars into the context of our everyday lives. You know, we hope we can give you a little bit of education, a little bit of enlightenment, and hopefully, too, some entertainment. But we certainly will not have any apologies for our decidedly Detroit perspective. Today, we've got a very special show and a very special guest. I think you can tell from the shirt I'm wearing what it's going to be about. You know, very few American cars have become something that you'd call iconic. In the history of 100 and some years of building cars, there's only a handful that could be considered icons in this industry. And yet one of them is going to be coming up on a celebration, an anniversary, if you will, of 50 years in the American marketplace. So today, to honor that and to talk about it, we have an expert on one of the cars that we all love, the Ford Mustang. So our guest today is none other than Donald Farr. Donald, welcome to Cars in Context.
Good to be here.
And welcome to Detroit. I know why you're here through Motor City.
Yeah, the gloomy, wet, cold.
It's winter.
And I left Tampa this morning.
Donald is from Florida, so there's a good reason why he came up here, though, and we're going to talk about that reason and all those wonderful things about the Ford Mustang and this fantastic anniversary that's coming up. But before we do that, Donald, first let's find out what's in the news. Okay, so top of the headlines is going to be another one of my favorite topics, Consumer Reports. You know, they have a reliability rating, and of course, they don't do well when they talk about domestics, Donald. In yet another one of these rating reports released by Consumer Reports, Ford and Lincoln, who just 2 years ago were at the top of the pack, were really down to the bottom of the pack. And Toyota returned to be king of the hill. So we've delved a little bit digging around, trying to find out what's the reasoning behind Ford's slide. We find out that it's because of owner concerns with something that's called My Ford Touch, which is their new infotainment system, as well as something that they call dual clutch transmissions, which is really one of the secrets that they have to get 40 miles per gallon on some of their small cars. So these new issues are causing owner concerns, and they show up in these ratings. So the problem is that Ford also had 3 vehicles that normally score very high. They weren't in the ratings at all because these cars were new for 2013, and because there wasn't enough of an owner base and the data wasn't available, they weren't even included. But a subsequent report came out that says, are these really a question of reliability, or is it really just that owners are not unfamiliar with this new technology? It's really calling into question what people concerned with reliability go to Consumer Reports for. So I think finally common sense, Donald, has come into the rating system. It's really not a rating of reliability. These are the guys that still have the 1200 flashing on their VHSs and can't figure out how to use it. This is new technology, so I think it's a little tough for them to learn.
Yeah, I get Consumer Reports, and I enjoy it for washing machines and appliances and that sort of thing. And I saw that report and how Ford had dropped. But then I read their explanation and saw why, and it
doesn't make sense.
It didn't have anything to do with reliability.
Absolutely not. So that's something to keep in mind, folks. So Donald, do you have one for us?
Yes, I do. Are Hyundai's special edition really news? A recent USA Today story by Chris Woodyard.
Oh yeah, we know him. USA Today, yep.
Yep. Noted that Hyundai was going to try to draw in younger buyers with a new trick.
What's the new trick, Donald?
Well, they say it was pioneered by Toyota with its Scion, or is that Scion? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay.
And they want to make a limited run of personalized special edition models. Apparently, Hyundai's announcement that it was going to release a run of Veloster Sport Coupes as the Remix edition.
Okay, Remix, yep.
Yep. Adding a unique body kit, special alloy wheels, hotter sound system, exterior graphics. They think it's innovative.
Oh.
Sounds pretty familiar to me.
Okay.
It was born out of a series of concert and concept car programs that Hyundai put on around the country under the Remix name.
Yep, that's how they got the Remix. Okay.
But to put this personalization idea into context.
Oh, I like that.
That's the name of this.
Thank you, Donald. Okay.
It's nothing new.
No.
And certainly wasn't invented by Hyundai or Toyota.
No, the personalized car?
I remember Mustang had special edition Mustangs back
from day one, wasn't it?
1964 Indy pace car.
Yeah,
Coupes.
I think the PR guys were having a field day with this, Donald, but no, special edition cars. Mustang was famous for it. I mean, Miatas have been doing it for years. Heck, special editions, when the American car industry first came out, they had coachworks done. This is something that we invented here, so sorry, folks, if you think it came from overseas. It was born in the US of A.
Long time ago.
Yeah, thank God for that. All right, I got one. Speaking of that, how about Okie Dokie, what's Waku Dokie? And Waku Dokie is a new product buzzword that's coming out of Toyota. Waku Dokie, that's how you say it. Waku Waku Doki Doki. Now, that's what the technical name is. It's really, although this sounds funny to us, Donald, it's something that Akio Toyoda, who's the chairman of Toyota Motors, is quite serious about. Waku Waku Doki Doki is the ability to get your heart racing. Okay? In other words, after years of making what some people would consider automotive appliances, Toyota now wants to make cars that make your heart race, that you can get excited about. They don't want to make appliances anymore, okay? They want to build in personality and excitement to their vehicles. So from now on, the chairman says he's not going to approve any more Toyotas that don't have Waku Waku Doki Doki. Now, it sounds like it came from that song, put your left foot in, put your left foot out, Woki do, or something like that. Anyway, but that also, to me, Donald, takes a page out of the Ford Mustang. When you talk about making a car that has a personal connection with its owners, appliances don't.
No,
but
no,
but
I don't
Mustang, that's kind of been its calling card. I mean,
forever.
People love to call their Mustang their own nickname, and I mean, to me, that's the personality of Mustang.
And you don't see that with Toyota or Nissan or any of those.
It's going to be a challenge for those guys.
I would think so. Yeah.
Okay, you have another one for us.
Yes, I do. It's about black wheels becoming all the rage.
Oh, Donald.
And I can tell you're excited.
Oh, I wish you weren't going to say this, but go ahead.
Okay, it's a new trend in personalization.
Yeah.
And it's actually a report out of Ford Motor Company that says some of its customers are really getting into black wheels. The new Boss 302.
Yeah,
has
okay.
black wheel.
Okay.
More and more buyers like the look and think the lack of shiny alloy or chrome adds individuality to the car. I guess some think it gives it a racy look.
Ow.
I kind of think it makes it look like they forgot to get the disc brake
brake
dust off. 25% of Ford Flex buyers are opting for black wheels.
I can't believe that.
And in Los Angeles, there's 50%
well,
of
in
Flex
Los Angeles,
buyers.
where the trends came from?
Yeah,
Yeah, 50% of Flex buyers are opting for black wheels.
in Los Angeles.
Can't believe it.
The Focus and F-150 have increasing take rates for black wheels.
Okay.
And it can run $500 to $700
As an
as an option.
I don't know if I'd pay that, folks. I don't know what do you think, but black wheels for me, I like shiny alloys. I like chrome wheels. I'm just, maybe call me a traditionalist. I'm not ready for black wheels.
Yeah, it reminds me of dirty wheels.
Yeah, dirty wheel. Now, I don't want to start another fight with this last one here, but again, we're going to start it. And Lauren Parrott, because we've had this discussion, are women drivers really better drivers? And here we go again. Now, according to a study just released on an English website, it's called carrentals.com, they start again with that ages-old discussion that they say women are not lousy drivers, they're better drivers than men.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, that's Lauren weighing in on that one. Absolutely right. Here's why they say it is. They've done stats, and the stats say that women tend to get less speeding tickets, and they're involved in fewer auto accidents than male drivers, and they're also rated better at identifying things like traffic signs and signals. Now, but to put this one into context, sorry, Lauren, I'm going to say that just because women who rent these cars don't get in as many accidents or maybe don't have as a big a lead foot as we do, Donald, does that mean they're better drivers, or does that mean they're just better insurance risks? You know, my wife Jenny loves this one, so be careful what you say. But what do you think?
I think women tend to be more careful when they're out driving, and you see that a lot when you're the off-ramp. They're coming up the ramp, and instead of merging, they stop.
Oh, gosh. Yeah,
I don't know why that one came to me.
Yeah.
But I also think about, I have a boy and a girl. They're both grown now. My daughter's named Lauren, by the way. And she was definitely a better driver than my son, Matt.
Yeah. My
And,
son
but
was a hot dog, hot foot.
Lauren had just had the ability to know, but be aware of what was around her. And Matt was like his mom, just was there and didn't know if cars were coming up or red lights or anything. You know, so.
Well, everybody in my family was a hot foot, and my sons were all driving too fast. So I'll leave this one to you, the viewers. What do you think? Are women drivers really the better drivers? Well, that's all we have for right now for In the News, but we'll come back with Donald right after this brief message. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. Today we've got a really special show. You know, when it comes to really fun cars, there's really few, when you think about the American car culture, that's been more fun than the Ford Mustang. I'm wearing my Mustang shirt in honor of a special guest we have today, Donald Farr. Donald, again, thanks for coming out to Detroit.
Thanks.
I know you're here for business, but I'm really glad you had the chance to stop in and visit our Cars in Context viewers. You know, when it comes to the Ford Mustang, there's 50 years almost of heritage here. Many people, I go back and I talk about cars that we all grew up with, no matter whether you've owned one or you've never even had one in your family, everybody has a Mustang story. And I think that's what really separates this car, why it's so iconic. But why I'm really glad to have you is because, first of all, you're in the Mustang Hall of Fame. Second of all, you won the Lee Iacocca Award. You, in the Mustang hobby, Donald, you were one of my heroes because you have gone out in this world and tried to bring this hobby closer to those of us who love these great American cars. And you're the editor of one of my favorite magazines, which is Mustang Monthly. Tell us a little bit how you got involved in the Mustang world and became editor of Mustang Monthly magazine.
Well, I guess it really started for me when I came home from school. I was probably 11 or 12 years old, and the school bus stopped in front of my house, and my grandparents lived across the road. And I looked over there, and there was this signal flare red Mustang GT. It's sitting in my grandparents' driveway. So I naturally had to go over and see what that was all about, who was visiting or whatever, and I found out it was the Ford dealer delivering that car to my grandfather.
Wow.
So, and all of a sudden, my grandfather became a celebrity in our little neighborhood because Mr. Guy has a Mustang, you know. And I loved being seen in that car. I didn't want to be seen in his four-door Falcon for some reason that he traded. So I think that put in my mind that Mustang was a cool car.
Yeah.
And then when it came time to me to get my first car, I picked a Mustang, a 70 Fastback.
Wow.
And that particular car led me to Boss 302s, and Boss 302s led me to the Shelby American Automobile Club, and I started writing articles for them and doing photography for them. And when Larry Dobbs started Mustang Monthly in 1978,
wow.
About a year later, he discovered that I was out there doing that sort of thing and had me come down for an interview. And
wow.
In 1980, I went to work for Mustang Monthly.
Wow, 1980, that's wild.
32 years ago.
Well, you know, with this car, let's talk about this a little bit, folks. You know, the Ford Mustang, when it did come out, it really did just change the landscape of the way we look at cars, because it was so with it. It was so cool. It was so popular. Really, hasn't been a car quite like it since. Nothing really took this country the way Mustang did back in 1964.
You know, maybe Corvette.
Yeah.
But Corvette was more of a limited type of car, more expensive.
Right.
So I remember my hometown, I rarely saw a Corvette.
Right.
But you saw Mustangs everywhere.
I think part of it too, folks, is that the Mustang, being it was a four-place car, it was 4 seats, it was a 2+2. It was meant to be affordable. Fast, fun, and affordable were the mantra that the company put together. It was a car that you could actually buy with front pocket money, not back pocket money. Everybody could enjoy sporty looks, and you didn't have to have the hot engine. You can have a 6-cylinder, good mileage, but you could have the look, you had the sportiness and the fun of an exciting new vehicle that was unlike anything that came before it. And I think that kind of, a Corvette was a more exclusive car. It was a 2-place car with only 2 seats, more expensive. It was so it was not reachable by the bigger segment of the society. And I think that's what really put Mustang on the map.
I think so. You know, it was built off the Falcon, and
Right.
of course that was done because just for budgetary reasons, they didn't have money in the budget to design a completely new car. And Henry Ford II at the time was still a little miffed about the Edsel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're talking 1960 when they started
Right.
talking about doing a sporty two-door, four-seat car.
Right, and I think what a lot of people don't really realize, when you got to go back and look at the history of this car. When we talk about the Edsel was one of the most researched cars in American history. That they really spent the money to go out and really take the temperature of the American buying public, and they came up with the Edsel. Of course, we know what happened there as part of my Cars in Context banner.
3 years and gone.
Yeah, and the problem is the Mustang, even though Ford has reported that they spent a lot of time and money on research, we have people that used to be on the program that will say that they actually kind of fudged the numbers, because these guys, there's a special committee within the company that were working on this project outside of Ford. They actually would leave Ford Motor Company, go down Michigan Avenue, and go to a hotel, which is no longer standing, and they would have meetings there to talk about this car, because they were told, don't make this car, you don't need it. But these guys are so passionate about a car. We talk about a car that really connects with customers. They were so passionate that they knew if we could just build this thing, it would sell, that they were doing it outside on their own time, and I think, thank goodness they did. This is really a true story of success.
Yeah, they realized that the baby boomer generation was starting to come of age, and that was a big group of people. In fact, Don Fry, who I believe was vice president at the time, he told a story about his kids, who were probably teenagers at the time, said, "Dad, your cars are boring. You need something to jazz them up."
Right.
And at the time, he was secretly working on the Mustang.
Yeah, and I think if you ever have a moment, folks, to go in and look a little bit about Mustang history, go see the research and the stories that were done about these guys, Hal Sperlich, and how they sold this idea to Lee Iacocca, and how Lee became the champion. A lot of people just trace the Mustang to Lee, but many people before him, Joe Oros, who recently passed away, who designed it. These guys, they were so passionate about having something that didn't look like your grandmother's car. Now, nothing against you grandmothers out there. We love your cars. It's just that sometimes when you're a teenager, you don't want to drive grandma's car. You want to drive something special.
And it's also interesting that another thing that triggered their idea for a sporty car like that was the Corvair.
Okay, yeah.
With the Monza option.
Right, right.
It was very popular with the sporty car group. Had 4-speed.
So really, Mustang hit a lot of little buttons. They hit. It was the personal sporty car, something like the Monza. You know, think, folks, about the Thunderbird. This, to many people, were the poor man's Thunderbird. Something really fine looking and fancy and sporting, but affordable. And I think that's really the story of this car. And then over the years, you know, it got bigger with the muscle car era. We got big blocks put in them. You know, like when you talk about your 70, you know, when you get the 428, those were great cars. The Boss 302s, the racing really had a lot to do with it, and so did Carroll Shelby.
Yeah, well, when Lee Iacocca went